we race Aldebaran or don't we?
Well, Mr. Mason said to wait until he had talked to the steward.
Well, he's cutting it awful close if we're going to run.
We're going to run, or else I'll sue for the purse. The stars are right for me today. Aldebaran is certain to win.
Are coming on the track.
The clerk was right, Corinne. Aldebaran's a foreign-bred horse. There was a question about his eligibility.
I tried to explain to him.
Well, legally, there's no doubt the stewards have every right to bar him from the race.
Well, I guess that does it.
But we straighten out the technicalities.
Wonderful!
So long as he's ready for the parade to the post.
Don't worry about that.
Oh, Perry, I could kiss you. Oh, forgive the smooch, but when you're my age and have a chance to kiss a good-looking guy, you take it. Come on, we'll watch the race from my box.
Not that you need it, Corinne, but a larger bet today would make you another fortune.
Thank you. Oh, Miss Street, Mr. Mason, this is Ralph Addison. You probably know him as Junius.
How do you do? Pleasure.
Perry Mason, yes. I cast your horoscope once for Mrs. Lazarus when she was looking for the right lawyer to draw her will.
Oh, yes. She kissed him, too.
That's because she's Aquarian. They're very affectionate. And if I remember your sign correctly, there are no better auspices for a lawyer.
I suppose that's good.
Junius, of course. I've often read your astrology column.
Thank you.
The flag is up. There we go.
Junius, how are you so sure that Aldebaran will win?
An Aries child, Sagittarius rising, Mercury in Leo.
That's a horoscope for a horse.
You seem skeptical. But if, as you say, you've read my column, you must have learned by now that astrology is anything but superstition. Pretty famous people believed in astrology. Goethe, Emerson, Carl Jung.
Adolf Hitler?
Oh, we have a disbeliever here, Corinne. This country alone, 20 million people live their lives.
Aldebaran in front. It's going to be a driving finish.
Come on, baby.
And the winner is Aldebaran. Two rights in front.
What would I ever do without you?
Corinne, my dear, credit the stars, not me. I only interpret them.
Come on, Della. We'll go to the winner's circle. That's where the fun is.
Mr. Mason, just a minute. I've read the computerized horoscopes of all Corinne's party guests for Sunday. You're on that list.
Computerized horoscopes?
Yes, exactly. Feed in the date, time, and place of birth, and the program computer prints out a precise individual horoscope. Corinne is going to introduce her new House of Heaven cosmetic line. I'm assuming you'll be there.
Well, she asked me to come, but I'm not sure I can make it.
It's terribly important to me that you come.
Why?
I'm having, well, a domestic problem. You see, it's impossible to get my wife to, well, she's going to be there. You can observe her, and then we can talk.
Mr. Addison.
Call me Junius.
I don't take cases of that nature.
Mr. Mason, my life is in jeopardy.
May I?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. What do you think of Junius?
I don't.
He analyzed my horoscope, the one we got at the door. He assures me my signs are fantastic. I'm going to have a ball tonight, no matter what.
Good. You're absolutely sure about this, Milo?
I ran it through the computer twice. The results speak for themselves.
How could he do it? After I've followed his advice like a slave.
Perhaps that's why he did it. He considered you a blind slave.
Well, this slave has her eyes wide open now.
May I have your attention, please? I'm Anthony Brewer. Today is a very special occasion. Our hostess is announcing her fabulous new line of House of Heaven cosmetics. It will be test marketed here in Los Angeles. As director of the new Zodiac division, I'd like to take you along on a romantic journey through the houses of heaven. Lights, please. First, beautiful Aries, the ram. Those of you who have guided your lives by the influence of the stars and planets have had to choose your cosmetics haphazardly, without benefit of heavenly guidance. Think about that while we enjoy the lovely twin signs, Gemini. Keep your distance so you won't be scorched in the flames of fiery Leo. The lion is about to roar.
Are you going to tell Brewer, or shall I?
And lovely Libra.
Tell him what?
That the deal is off. He's not heading Zodiac Division. I wouldn't hire him to recycle cold cream jars.
Corinne, I warned you about your tendency to make snap decisions. Now, this is typical Sagittarius behavior. Now, there's no reason at all for you to behave like this.
I have reason. I hired him on your recommendation.
Scorpio.
On a horoscope that you cast. Or should I say, faked.
Where?
And I'll tell you something even you don't know about this Sagittarius. When I trust somebody all the way and find out that I have been had, that's it. Period. End of the line. All over. Fini.
There's got to be some misunderstanding.
There's no misunderstanding. I understand very well. And you have gotten your last dime from me.
Now, just a minute. It's not that easy, Corinne.
Pisces.
You said it yourself. You trusted me all the way. Now it's all in the files, everything. You tie a can to me, and the Internal Revenue, the Food and Drug Administration, and some of your toughest competitors will find out some very interesting things about their eminent lady tycoon.
Virgo.
Everything I told you was in confidence.
That's right. And confidentially, you had better change your mind or plan to regret it. Nancy!
I was just coming back. I know you don't like it when I go away like that, but I just wanted to get myself together.
What the devil did you tell Corinne?
Why, nothing.
You told her about the money, didn't you? That's how she found out.
You're not making sense, Ralph.
For the 5,000th time, stop calling me Ralph!
I'm sorry, Well, how could I say anything to Corinne? I haven't even been near her.
You're a liar.
No, I swear I'm telling you the truth.
You sounded off to her, and then you sneaked away knowing I'd find out.
No, I came down here because I don't know all those people, and they make me nervous, and I just felt so alone, that's all.
I'm so sick and tired of your nerves, and your lying, and your sulking. No wonder you're alone. Who in his right mind would want to have you around?
Sorry, I can't help it. I really can't help it.
You're beyond help. I've had it. Just can't deal with it anymore. I'm going to find some legal way to put you where you belong. Locked up.
So that, ladies, is Corinne Warner's latest contribution to your lives. Once you give your cosmetician the exact date, time, and place of your birth, it will be fed into the central computer of the noted astrologer, Milo Vernon. Once your native data is fed into his computer, you will get back not only your personal horoscope, such as you've all received here today, but the computer's list of exactly which House of Heaven cosmetics will be most flattering and effective for you, personally. Thank you very much.
Would you like a drink? May I see you a moment, Milo? I made a mistake, Milo. I thought it was my wife at first. But it was you, wasn't it?
I did what I had to do.
I introduced you to Corinne. I set it up so that your computerized nonsense is in line for big dough, and you pay me back by trying to wipe me out with her.
That horoscope of Brewer's was faked. Deliberately faked. There's nothing else I could do. Maybe you can fool Corinne, but not me, and certainly not the computer.
What's he talking about?
You're going to regret this, because I'll break you. I'll run you out of the profession and into jail, and I can do it.
You know I can. If Corinne knows about the horoscope, what about my deal?
It's off. At least for the time being.
Then we've got to talk.
Not now. Not here. Tomorrow night.
Pardon me.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Do you know that man that Junius is talking with?
Yes, Perry Mason. He's an attorney.
Attorney? And Junius really meant what he said? He really meant it?
You're lying. He's lying. He makes up things about me. He wants to have me committed. Have me put away forever.
Nancy!
Nobody will ever believe you. You don't believe him, do you?
Addison, why don't we go inside and talk?
Talk? No, I don't want to talk. No more talk. I don't want to talk.
Stop that! What do you think you're doing? Pull yourself together.
I only want one thing. I just want to live long enough to see you dead.
Junius! Mrs. Addison.
Mrs. Addison, it's all right.
You believe me now? My wife is trying to kill me.
If you don't call your dentist for an appointment, I will.
That's a good idea. You call that white-coated fiend and let him lacerate you.
Sooner or later, you're going to have to call him.
Sooner or later, I'm going to have to be buried, but the Grim Reaper is going to have to come for me first.
You're scared.
That's ridiculous. Kids are scared. I'm terrified.
Mrs. Addison, I didn't know that
I came to see Mr. Mason. It won't take but a minute.
He's in, but he has an appointment in a few minutes. Could I set up a time for you another day?
No, it has to be now. Please.
Are you all right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll check.
May I validate your parking ticket? Your parking ticket.
Mrs. Addison? He only has a few minutes right now, but if that'll do, he'll see you.
Hello, Mrs. Addison. Won't you sit down? Could I get you something? Coffee, a cold drink?
No, I came to apologize for, at Corinne's party, the way I behaved.
Mr. Mason, excuse me. Would you like me to call regarding your conference?
Yes, tell him I'll be a little late. Mrs. Addison, there's no need for an apology to me. We all get a little wound up sometimes in a healthy explosion.
Your face, I scratched your face and broke your watch, and I'd like to pay for the repair of your watch. I don't really remember. I must have been very upset and fallen apart.
But you didn't scratch me at all. There's nothing wrong with my watch either.
But Junius said... No, I don't see any scratches. But I don't want to leave any loose ends, any things undone. You see, I'm a Gemini, and Ralph... Junius says... Junius, why does he want to put me away? He can have the house and the property and...
Mrs. Addison, despite what your husband may have threatened to do...
I'm holding you up, aren't I?
No, not at all. My meetings with friends. They won't mind.
Friends? No. No, I don't have any friends, not any longer. Junius says... Junius says...
Mrs. Addison, would you pardon me for just a moment? I'm not sure I know what to do. I'd call her husband, but... He says she's going to kill him.
I don't think that's possible.
The only thing I know for sure is that she shouldn't be left alone. Could you...
Take her to lunch?
She's gone. Not a word.
I hope she parked in the garage.
She did. I validated her parking ticket.
Tell Delta to get a hold of Paul Drake for me. This is Perry Mason. There's a young woman on her way down. Could you manage to delay her for about 10 minutes getting a car? My validation stamp is on her ticket. Thanks.
Paul's on the phone.
Paul.
Hey, yeah, Perry?
Could you get a man down to the parking garage right away to tail a young woman, a Mrs. Ralph Addison? The parking attendant will point her out to him. You've got about 10 minutes. Don't ask any questions. I'll explain later.
We'll van her to the track tomorrow and try and have her entered into the mares and fillies allowance race on Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
Nancy.
Hello, Corinne. I came to apologize for spoiling your party the other night.
You didn't spoil anything a vacuum cleaner can't make right. And what you did to Junius, in a way, I envy you, so forget it.
Well, I'd like to make amends, do something.
There is something you can do. I haven't been able to reach Junius, so you can tell him that I've decided to see him tonight.
Tonight?
Well, frankly, dear, he's threatened me, and I don't like threats.
Fill her up?
Hello, Coley.
3 years and it's just hello, Coley.
Coley, I've got to talk to you.
Come on.
Look, this is my address. There's nobody else I can really trust to do it, Coley. I know I don't have the right to ask, but I thought, well,
Nancy, I'll come. What time tonight?
Oh, about 10. Look, make sure nobody sees you. It's very important that nobody knows. Now, look where I told you. And if it isn't there, it means I've changed my mind. So you just drive away and forget about it.
Nancy, I know you, and I can see you're in trouble. If you need help, tell me what it is.
Holly, please, just do this for me, okay?
After she left the service station, she went to see a doctor. She had an appointment. And he gave her a prescription.
I don't understand. Why did you do the surveillance yourself?
What are you supposed to do? Don't ask any questions, he says. You got 10 minutes, he says. There's nobody else in the office.
Mr. Drake called me on his car phone and had me follow her into the drugstore while she filled the prescription, but I couldn't find out what it was.
And she went to 2 more drugstores, got 2 more prescriptions filled from 2 different doctors. You know, that's it. What do you think?
Well, disturbed, maybe. 3 different prescriptions, 3 different doctors.
She seemed to me to know exactly what she was doing. Every step. And why.
It's curious about that envelope she mailed. And the piece of paper she gave that young mechanic. What was his name?
Coley Clemens. He and Nancy saw a good deal of each other before she married Junius.
Is her husband right? Is she dangerous? What do you think?
I think I've spent several hours...
And then $350.
...on something that's really none of my business. I'm going to put the burden back where it belongs.
Junius?
Call him. Tell him I want to see him tonight. Thanks, Paul. Good night, Meg.
Night.
Night.
operator, this is an emergency. Send an ambulance to 2720 Rosita Drive right away. And contact police headquarters, homicide. Same address.
Just a minute. You know, I gotta give you credit, Perry. A body barely hits the floor and you're on the scene ready to serve as a client.
Lieutenant, he wasn't my client. I'll explain later.
Hold it. Just hold it. You know the woman?
Julius's wife. An apparent overdose, I guess.
You guess. Was she your client?
No, I had merely a friendly interest in the Addisons. Look, Lieutenant, I would like to ride with her in the ambulance.
I need your statement. That'll give you a chance to do a little more guessing.
I'll wait for you at the hospital or at your office, wherever you say.
Hospital.
Good.
And don't leave until I get there.
I won't.
When the examination team comes, have them take a shot at these.
How is she?
Well, I pumped her out. She hadn't been under very long. As a matter of fact, she was able to talk a little before I left.
Well, that's good.
How about the statement?
I think that's complete. If you have any further questions.
You say you discovered Mrs. Addison lying beside her husband's body?
4, maybe 5 feet from him.
But in the studio?
Yes.
And you, determined she was still alive and picked her up and placed her on the sofa?
Was I supposed to leave her there on the floor?
Perry, you're going to make a very good witness. I thought she was lying to me. This proves it. Where are you going?
To talk to her.
Nobody talks to her. She's being moved to the prison ward.
She's under arrest.
Yeah, the charge is murder. And she's allowed 1 phone call to an attorney, that's all.
It's amazing.
Welcome back.
Back to what? They think I killed Ralph.
But you didn't.
I didn't even know he was dead until the lieutenant told me. The only one I wanted to kill was myself.
You'll need an attorney. A good one. If you like, I can recommend.
You, I want you.
No, it can't be me, Nancy. If this comes to trial, I'll probably be called as a witness against you. I've already given my statement.
I don't care. You're the only one I can trust.
Nancy, you don't know me. Not really. I'll see that you get the best.
I don't care. You won't help me. I don't want anybody. I don't care what they do.
Damn it, Perry, just once. Whenever you get involved with something, couldn't you just make it simple?
Believe me, I had no idea Mrs. Addison would ask me to represent her.
Well, you could have refused.
Sure, I could have refused. The point is, in her condition, if I were to withdraw...
The point is, you can't represent a client properly when you're our key witness against her.
And I have a signed statement. There was no attorney-client arrangement before he talked to her at the hospital.
So your testimony isn't privileged information.
Hamilton, you're right.
Hey, I got him.
You think so, huh?
Not only is there a delicate legal position, there's also the broader question of ethics, whether I should be involved in this at all. But overriding all of that, it seems to me, is the moral question. How can I just abandon an insecure, dependent woman at a time when she... I can't. We've got to find some way around it.
This insecure, dependent woman just knocked off her husband.
And there's no way I'm going to let you get off the hook, Perry. You're going to be my witness.
You have my signed statement. I'll affirm it any way you choose. But from now on, anything that passes between me and my client is privileged information.
I don't like it. It's wrong, and you know it's wrong. And I haven't agreed to anything.
Now, we'll have to settle that question along with everything else in court.
I remember taking a call from Milo. He wanted to see my husband, and I told him that Junius was still furious at him. Then I was outside on the lawn when Mr. Brewer came to see Junius. I told him my husband still wasn't home, so he went away, and then when I came in and
took the pills and lay down to sleep, I thought that would be that.
Nancy, what made you decide to use the floor of Junior's studio?
But I didn't. I was in my own bedroom, not in the studio, on my own bed.
No, but I found you in the studio. You have no memory of how you got there?
I don't know.
On the day Junius died, you drove to the post office and mailed a large manila envelope. What was it? To whom was it addressed?
That was the $25,000. It was in the house, and I mailed it to myself at my own post office box.
What $25,000?
Fee from one of my husband's clients.
He kept that kind of money in the house?
Yes, he didn't trust banks. All his friends knew that. Said their aspects were wrong for him.
Nancy, what could an astrologer possibly do for a client that would be worth that much money?
Oh, I don't know, but I wanted my mother to have it, Mr. Mason. She lives alone, and she's an invalid and quite helpless. And, well, Junius had already taken everything I had.
How did you propose to get the money to your mother if you mailed it to yourself?
Why, I wanted a friend to do that for me.
The young mechanic you saw that afternoon?
How did you know about Coley?
That's unimportant. What did you ask Coley to do?
Well, I didn't tell him about the money, but I told him I'd leave a note for him that night, and I put it into a stone sculpture that's out on the lawn. There's a space in at the back of it, and I put the key to the post office box in with the note.
Did Coley get the note?
Why, I don't know.
Nothing here. If there was a note, it's gone now.
And Coley Clemens must have it.
Maybe.
But Nancy didn't tell anyone else where it was.
Officer, I'm Perry Mason. This is the street.
Lieutenant Radcliffe, you can go on in.
Thank you. If Nancy is telling the truth, the killer stabbed Junius here, went into the bedroom, found Nancy unconscious, carried her in here, put her on the floor where I found her.
To make it look as if she'd killed her husband.
And the phone rang. Instead of letting it ring, the murderer must have panicked. Tore the phone loose. And that's why I thought someone had answered it.
Well, then the killer was still in the house when you came in and found them.
When I ran out to phone for help, he or she took off.
I checked the post office box. There wasn't anything in it. No envelope, no money, nothing.
Well, then someone did get the note.
And the $25,000.
If there ever was $25,000.
We have Nancy's word for it.
Nancy's word. And her husband was on the verge of having her committed? Perry, about that car you saw last night. It was driven by Coley Clemens. But he won't say anything. He says, ask Nancy.
Della, get me an appointment with Milo Vernon. Excuse me. Mr. Brewer. We met at Corinne Warner's party. I'm Perry Mason. Oh, yes. Mr. Brewer, my client tells me you came by to see her husband the night of the murder.
Sorry, but I've been subpoenaed by the district attorney. I'd rather not discuss the case. Excuse me.
I feed in only the native data. That is, date of birth, time, and place. Now, if the computer recognizes the data, that is, if it was ever previously fed in and stored in the memory bank, well, we should have a printed out horoscope and a file reference. Now I can compare this printout horoscope with my files.
Who are in the files?
Corinne's House of Heaven cosmetic customers from the test marketing, and of course the guests from her party. Oh, here we are. This one you should have recognized without the computer's help. It's your own.
Corinne Warner had you and not Junius cast the horoscopes for her party guests.
That's right.
Why would Junius have my horoscope on his desk? How about this one?
I don't need the computer for this. I know it by heart. Sagittarius with Leo rising. Corinne Warner.
And this one?
Taurus with Moon and Aries. Stubborn and determined. Reckless. A plunger. Let's see if my guess is correct.
Who's your guess?
The man who was just here. Anthony Brewer.
Interesting. Corinne, Brewer, and myself. There's still no reason why these particular horoscopes would be on Junius's desk that night. Now, what about the 4th?
Oh. Very interesting horoscope. It's Pisces. And Scorpio is the rising sign. Nothing in the memory bank. The computer just doesn't recognize the native data.
Now, Lieutenant, when you arrived at the murder scene in response to a call from Mr. Perry Mason, what did you find there?
The defendant was apparently unconscious, lying on the sofa in the study, having ingested a quantity of barbiturates. Her husband was nearby on the floor, and Mr. Mason was waiting for us.
And later, when she recovered at the hospital, did you question the defendant?
Yes, I did. Of course, I advised her of her right to remain silent, but she seemed anxious to talk. She told me that after taking the capsules, she lay down in her bed in her own bedroom and could remember nothing more until she recovered consciousness at the hospital.
In light of all these conflicting versions, how do you explain actually what happened?
Her husband threatened to commit her. Murder-suicide. She killed him, then she took the drugs and took...
But I didn't.
Objection, Your Honor.
I didn't
I move
kill
to
him.
strike.
Objection sustained.
But they think I'm out of my mind.
will take her seat and remain there. Mr. Mason,
Yes, Your Honor.
if you would like to request a brief recess until your client recovers control.
But I wasn't
No,
lying.
Your Honor, I don't believe that will be necessary.
I wasn't
Nancy,
lying.
please.
I never left
Nancy,
my
you've got to
bedroom.
remain silent. They'll make you leave the courtroom. Please.
Very well. Mr. Berger?
No further questions, Your Honor. Through with the witness.
Mr. Mason?
No questions, Your Honor.
The witness is excused. You may step down, Lieutenant.
Your Honor, if the court please, the people call Mr. Perry Mason.
May it please the court, Your Honor, I must refuse to take the stand.
Your Honor, he cannot refuse to take the stand.
Meet Dick Preston, movie star.
We're going to rehearse the scene now, Dick, and we do a nude scene, like you just jump right in with both feet.
Yes, I got my feet I'm worried about.
This season, he's moving to Hollywood with a whole new act.
It's trouble! Right here in River City! Action!
Dance your toilable cares away.
Why can't a Mr. Dazzleman dance, dance, dance your toilable cares?
Your Honor, Mr. Mason inevitably knew that he would be called as a witness. And if he didn't know, I told him so in my office.
Your Honor, I'm aware
I'm aware that you put yourself in a situation where you're being pressed to testify against your own client. And you cannot do that.
I agree. It's a tenuous legal and ethical position. I don't like it. I didn't ask for it. But, Your Honor, there are situations where you simply can't turn your back.
Sometimes you have to turn your back.
Mrs. Addison is a frightened, insecure, dependent woman who thinks of herself as friendless, alone.
Well, Perry, you're not the only attorney in Los Angeles.
I'm the only attorney she'd take. I tried to persuade her to retain someone else. She flatly refused. Now, what was I to do? Refuse to help? Leave her alone? Possibly to try suicide again? I don't know the answer.
Well, one occurs to me. It's already evident in the court that to force this woman through the ordeal of a murder trial is not only cruel, but inhuman.
You're suggesting a change of plea?
Not guilty by reason of insanity. There are two things wrong with that. Nancy Addison is not insane. It was her husband's threat to lock her away in a mental institution that drove her to the suicide attempt.
How do we get out of this impasse?
Your Honor, suppose I were to continue as counsel for this preliminary hearing, but agree to resign from the case should it be bound over for trial.
All right, I'll go along with that if it's satisfactory to Mr. Berger.
Your Honor, Mr. Mason's testimony goes to the very heart of everything that I've...
What about my written statement? How can't that be entered in the record in lieu of my testimony?
Well, that testimony is hearsay, and you know that. Perry, I want you on that stand.
All right, a compromise, if it's acceptable to both of you. I will allow him to take the stand, but Mr. Mason may only be questioned to affirm that statement.
I now show the witness this statement in his handwriting, prepared and given to the police on the night of Ralph Addison's murder, and ask him if he wrote it.
Yes, I did.
And to the best of your knowledge, the statements therein are in all respects truthful and accurate?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
I'm through with the witness, Your Honor.
You may step down, Mr. Mason.
Your Honor, since the district attorney has made me his witness in this case, the defense has the right to cross-examine.
May I remind the court The agreement with the witness was to affirm his statement, and that's all.
Mr. Berger, examination presupposes cross-examination. You may proceed, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Your Honor. Question. On the night of the murder, as you approached the house, did you notice anything unusual? Answer. As I drove up, my headlights picked up a man in front of the house. He seemed startled. He hurried to a car parked at the curb and pulled away. Then I heard the telephone ring inside. It stopped as if someone had answered. Question. Then what happened? Answer. I entered the house. I found Junius dead, his wife unconscious. The phone was torn loose from the wall. Question. Didn't you say you had just heard the phone ring? Answer. Yes. So there must have been someone else inside the house to tear the phone out before I entered.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is indulging in sheer speculation in the guise of cross-examination.
Sustained.
Through with the witness, Your Honor.
No redirect.
Witness may step down.
The people call Mrs. Corinne Warner. Now, Mrs. Warner, will you tell the court what happened between the accused and the decedent in the presence of your guest at the Zodiac party?
Well, there was an argument, and Mrs. Addison, Nancy, was terribly upset, and she began to, well, she practically demolished the cosmetic trays.
You mean she attacked him?
Well, no, she wasn't exactly attacking him. I mean, she just lost control momentarily.
Mrs. Warner, we have your sworn statement.
Well, she said, I just want to live long enough to see you dead. But it was in anger. It was over in a minute. You know what I mean.
Yes. I know what you mean. I'm finished with the witness, Your Honor. Your witness?
Mrs. Warner, you've testified that you have implicit faith in astrology.
Why, yes. I owe everything I have to it. I depend on it.
Is it true that you paid the decedent, Junius, for his services?
Of course.
As much as $25,000?
Well, in all, it might amount to that much.
But never in a lump sum?
Well, I may come off a little flaky, Mr. Mason, but I'm a pretty tough gal with a buck.
Let's have order.
Mrs. Warner, when did you last see Junius?
Why, at my party.
You didn't see him the night he was killed?
No, I did not.
Isn't it true that you asked his wife to tell him that you wanted to see him that night?
Well, not wanted exactly. There were things between us that sooner or later would have to be discussed.
Things like phony horoscopes?
What?
Well, isn't it true that at your party, in front of witnesses, you accused Junius of passing off a phony horoscope to influence you to hire Anthony Brewer as head of House of Heaven Cosmetics?
That was no accusation. I had the goods on that faker, and Junius knew it.
You're asking this court to believe that a prominent astrologer of Junius's standing would deliberately fake a star chart and then attempt to pass it off to a valued client?
I am.
Mrs. Warner, what could possibly influence Junius to do such a thing?
Money.
You've told us you didn't keep your appointment that night. Why?
I don't know. I just decided that, well, what was to be gained? But I could just see him sitting at his desk, looking at my horoscope, worrying and waiting. At least that was some satisfaction.
Sitting at his desk with your horoscope. That's all I have for now, Your Honor. But I may want to recall this witness.
Very well. Mr. Berger?
No redirect, Your Honor. The people call Mr. Anthony Brewer.
Nancy, there were 4 horoscopes on your husband's desk that night.
State your name.
One was Corinne's, one was mine.
Are you a resident?
He had appointments with both of us. It was Junius's habit to cast the horoscope of people he was expecting to see.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Now that I think of it, yes, it was.
Be seated, please.
Della, how's your supply of House of Heaven Cosmetics?
I don't have it.
You should.
That's a subtle way of telling me I'm falling apart.
I want you to go to that shop across the street and buy some. But don't give the computer your birth data. Use this.
I think it's a fascinating idea. Choosing a perfume by your own sign. Whether you believe in astrology or not, it's fun.
It does wonders for your love life. Would you like to try it?
That settles it.
Well, now, I'll need your native data to feed into the central computer. All the House of Heaven shops feed directly into it.
That's it.
$25,000. I paid Junius that money. I'm not ashamed of it.
Mr. Brewer, do you want us to understand that you bribed Junius to prepare a phony horoscope so that Corinne Warner would be influenced to hire you?
Yes, that's right. It was business. With my percentage, it would have been worth every cent. The House of Heaven Cosmetics will make millions.
You should have told me. You were a House of Heaven customer before.
But I wasn't. This is my first time.
Then how did our computer recognize your native data?
I guess it's made a mistake.
Our computer is never wrong.
When Mrs. Warner was made aware of the fraud and the deal fell through, did Junius give back the money you'd paid him?
No.
Is that why you went to see him the night he was killed?
I dropped by. His wife, she was outside. She wouldn't let me come in. She said he wasn't home, so I left.
Then since you didn't recover the money, what happened to that $25,000, Mr. Brewer? Well, Mr. Brewer?
Coley Clemens got it. She wanted to give it to her mother, and he was supposed to deliver it.
Did you return later that night to see Junius and find that out from him?
No.
Are you telling the truth, Mr. Brewer, or are you attempting...
It's all in her note.
What note? What note, Mr. Brewer?
Well, I must have heard someone here on the stand.
We can check the record if necessary, but I don't recall any testimony about any notes written by the accused.
Well, then I must have heard it around, because after Junius was killed, I don't remember exactly.
Maybe I can refresh your memory. When you called to see Junius and the accused standing outside, told you he wasn't in, isn't it a fact that you saw the accused place an envelope in a piece of decorative sculpture on the front lawn?
I don't remember that.
And is it not a fact that inside that envelope was the note to Coley Clemens?
I couldn't say.
And is it not also a fact that the reason you knew about that note was because you did return later that night?
All right. I did come back. I had to get my money back. I was wiped out, every cent.
You were still in the house when I arrived. Isn't that true?
I was looking everywhere. And then I remembered that she had that envelope.
When I went out to call the police, you found the envelope, the note, and the key. You went to the post office, you picked up that money.
Your Honor, the witness is not on trial here.
Mr. Brewer.
Let me answer, please. I did get back the $25,000, that's true. What isn't true is I didn't kill Junius. When I got there, he was already dead, and she was lying next to him.
Your Honor, we've already heard this witness, in effect, confirm Mr. Mason's own testimony. Now, I respectfully request at this time that the accused, Nancy Addison, be bound over for trial in Superior Court on the charge of murder in the first degree.
Mr. Mason, unless you have something to offer at this time.
Your Honor, on the basis of information that has just come to me, I would like to arrange for the presentation of an expert witness for the defense.
Your Honor, what possible relevance that all this astrology mumbo-jumbo has in this courtroom?
Your Honor, it has the greatest possible relevance. Astrology, whether or not one subscribes to its validity, is at the very heart of the events in this case.
You may proceed, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Vernon, would you please tell the court in your own words about these tests you've been running?
Yes. This horoscope is of Mr. Anthony Brewer. The computer recognized it immediately.
And what about the rest of these horoscopes found on Junius's desk? The other 3 people he was expecting that night.
The computer recognized this one as yours, Mr. Mason. And this is Corinne Warner.
Would you please run a test on the 4th?
No record in the computer's memory bank. It can't identify the 4th appointment.
Couldn't the computer have made a mistake?
It's very unlikely. Besides, you remember we tested the 4th horoscope in my office with the same result.
Yes, I remember. And all the House of Heaven shops are tied into this identical computer.
Yes.
through keyboard terminals, just like this one.
Born 10 a.m., March 30th, 1929, Davenport, Iowa. And this is the information you fed into the computer.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Vernon, how is it possible that when my secretary just a moment ago fed this same information into the same computer in the House of Heaven counter across the street, the computer recognized it?
I don't know.
Pisces with moon in Cancer and Scorpio rising. The horoscope of the fourth visitor. Your horoscope, Mr. Vernon. Isn't that why you fed fake information into the computer? To hide your identity. You're the one who killed him and carried his unconscious wife into the studio and left her there dying to make it appear a murder-suicide. That's the truth you were trying to hide from your own computer and from this court.
Someone had to expose Junius. How he was exploiting our ancient science. It was never personal. I went there to try to explain, and he would have killed me. And so...
I'm going to suspend examination of the witness at this point and warn him of the danger of self-incrimination. The bailiff will remove the witness to the anteroom. I would strongly recommend that he retain counsel before testifying further. This court will be in recess. Counsel will meet with me in chambers in 10 minutes.
Mars in wide conjunction with Sun. Saturn-Uranus conjunction. Rulers of the 8th house. The house of death. To deceive today invites disaster.
Up against the world, or you'll never leave Casablanca alive.
That's me on my General Electric tape recorder. A great entertainer. Not me, my GE. This beauty adjusts recording levels automatically, works on batteries and plugs in and shuts off automatically. Let me put it to you this way.
When it comes to tape recorders, GE's got it all together.
Now playing all over America, tape recorders by GE, the great entertainer.
CBS presents this program in color.
Yes.
Pile of lumber, am I close?
Right on the button.
What are you going to do with it?
What do we always need in the bathroom?
A scale that lies?
Nope. Magazine rack.
Magazine rack? What's wrong with the laundry hamper?
I'm getting tired of leaning over to that hamper when I want something to read. I want a magazine rack.
Well, I guess it will make it easier to get to the hamper. Hey, honey, would you do me a favor?
Sure.
When Chrissy wakes up from his nap, would you give him his lunch?
Oh, honey, I'm looking forward to making the magazine rack. If I have to watch Chrissy. Hey, why don't you take him shopping with you? I mean, he loves to ride in the cart and pull everything off the shelves.
Well, he loves to sit in his playpen and watch you hammering. Besides, I'm not going shopping.
You're not going shopping?
Nope.
Thought you were a little overdressed for the market. Where are you going?
Want an interview?
What for?
Part-time job.
Well, you're going for a job interview?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, why not?
Well, I mean, you just decided just like that to go get a job?
Not just like that. Honey, we discussed this a dozen times, and you always said you thought it was a great idea.
Well, it's a great idea, honey, but I mean, like all ideas, the timing has to be right.
Well, that's not what you said when we discussed it. You said...
Well, I know what I said, honey. What'd I say?
You said you thought it would be a good idea for me to get out of the house and do something other than just diapering Chrissy and pouring coffee. Now, you haven't changed your mind, have you?
No, I haven't changed my mind. Good for you to get out of the house. A little bit.
Well, that's what I'm going to do.
Why didn't you tell me last night before I went out like a nut and bought all that junk?
Honey, I didn't know about it last night. Connie just called this morning while you were out.
What are you going to do, work at her dancing school?
No. She has a friend who has a bookstore, and they just need some help.
What kind of a bookstore? One of those open all-night jobs?
The Rare bookstore.
Rare?
Mm-hmm.
Well, honey, you don't know any... I mean, don't you think you could do better than that?
No? Like what?
Well, I don't know.
Well, neither do I.
Well, don't you think you ought to think about it a little while before you just take the first job that's offered to you?
Well, how long do you want me to think about it? Do you finish the magazine rack?
Well, it's not the magazine rack.
Well, are you upset about me going for a job?
No!
Well, then what is it?
The magazine rack.
You just said it wasn't.
Well, I didn't know I only had two choices.
I think you're being selfish.
Selfish?
That's right, just plain selfish.
Me? Selfish?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have I canceled appointments so you could just go take a tennis lesson?
Canceled appointments? Oh, my dear Ned, the only appointments that you have canceled are your dental appointments. And you were not going out of your way to do it for me.
Well, who was I doing it for?
You. You're afraid to have your wisdom tooth out.
That tooth doesn't hurt. There's not a thing in the world wrong with that tooth.
That is not what the dentist said. Dick, I would gladly give up this interview if you would go to the dentist.
What you're saying is you'd like to see me in pain rather than having a little fun carpentering.
What I am saying is that I just would like to see you taking care of something that needs taking care of, like your tooth.
Well, my magazine rack needs more taken care of than this dumb tooth does.
I don't believe you believe that.
Oh, come on.
I just don't believe that.
And I can't believe our neighbor walked right in here without even knocking.
Well, I did knock and you said come in.
I didn't say come in. I said come on.
Well, I didn't know how to come on, so I came in. I'll leave if I'm interrupted.
No, it's all right. We're just having a little discussion.
Oh, yeah, Connie and I have those sort of discussions all the time.
I'm going to finish getting ready now.
I don't think I should have said that. She's angry at me.
No, she didn't.
Gave me a very mean look.
That was meant for me. You just got in the way.
Well, I'm going. Connie thought it was about time we repaid the borrowing account. Some lemons, some mayonnaise, milk and the garlic.
You're returning a used apple?
It's not yours, it's mine. We've never borrowed apples. You can ask Jenny.
Oh.
I'm sorry to interrupt your fight. It was nothing important, I hope.
Just one of those little things that husband and wives fight about once in a while.
A working wife is never a little thing.
I didn't think we were that loud.
Yeah, you both project very well.
Well, you know, I guess it's just something I feel very strongly about.
Dick, you don't put garlic in the refrigerator. Put it there. Just in case a vampire comes, they hate that. See, I know exactly what you're going through. I went through the same thing when Connie opened her dance studio.
How's that?
Well, I thought I was losing control over my wife.
Well, I don't have control over Jenny. I wouldn't want it.
You think you don't. I didn't know I had control over Connie until I lost it. Why do you think you're so mad?
Where are you going?
To the interview, bye.
Well, what are you going to do with Chrissy?
I called Connie and she said I could drop him off at the studio.
All right, you win, honey. Leave Chrissy with me.
No, I made the arrangements. You win.
Honey, leave Chrissy with me and just go to your interview.
Listen, I really have to be going. I'm sorry that I interrupted, and good luck. I hope you get your job.
Thank you.
Well, you know, or whatever makes you both comfortable. You certainly brightened this place up, haven't you?
Don't be stubborn. Leave Chrissy with me. Come on.
I have also made arrangements for Annie to play with Susie so that you can hammer away and not be disturbed. I will see you at dinner.
All right, Mr. What do you want it?
That's the way it is.
Good luck with your interview.
Thank you. Good luck with your rack.
She's gotta go out and get a job. She really dug it in there, trying to make me feel guilty, boy. Well, she made it. She did it. She did it. She took the whole pleasure out of the project. I'm not going to let her get away with that. She's not going to get away with calling me selfish. We'll just see who's selfish around here. Aha! I'm going to take all this. Where did it? I'm taking all this anger out on myself. No. May I speak to Dr. Simpson, please? Yes, this is Dick Preston. Well, I'm not calling to cancel an appointment. I haven't got one. Thank you. Better call this a selfish act. Hello, Dr. Simpson, yes. Well, I was wondering if I could come in and have that wisdom tooth pulled, you know. Yeah, I'm in pain, all right. Well, I can be there in 15 minutes if you've got a... Thank you very, very much, Doctor. Now we'll see who's selfish.
Yes?
Yes, I'm Dick Preston.
Oh, yes, Mr. Preston. Well, it's nice to see you really exist. After all your cancellations, you were getting to be a legend around here.
I hope I'm not throwing a doctor off schedule or anything.
Oh, no, actually, we're right on schedule. We had 2 cancellations this morning. You're lucky you called when you did.
Yeah, lucky.
Oh, see, you're here for that extraction. Wisdom tooth, is that right?
Yeah, extract. Yeah, listen, before I called, were you going to call somebody else still that time?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was just starting to dial someone.
Well, look, I mean, it's not important. If there's somebody more in need, I can come back.
The doctor's expecting you. He asked that you please take this to help you relax.
Oh, good, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Preston.
Oh, no, I just took the... She just gave me the pill a minute ago. It couldn't have gone into effect yet.
That's quite all right. You should just sit down and relax. I'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Mr. Preston?
Huh?
Are you all right?
Can I tear this out? I'm gonna get one of these. What's where you get panty hose. My wife works.
How are you feeling now, Mr. Preston?
About like I did 4 New Year's ago. Is that the pill?
Yes, it's taking effect. You can come in now, please.
Where? Oh, up to the chair.
Excuse me.
What? What are you doing?
Oh, I just want to take your jacket.
Why?
I think you'll be more comfortable.
Is it hot in here?
68 degrees.
Well, that used to be cold. I bet you hear a lot of screaming in here, huh? You will.
Can you sit down, please?
Dr. Simpson must be quite a dentist. He's highly recommended by my dentist, Dr. Benson in Phoenix. He says back in school he had the lightest touch of anybody in the whole class. Does he still have that?
Oh, well, we haven't had any complaints.
Yeah. I guess, of course, this modern day of high-speed machinery pain's thing of the past, isn't it?
We're working on it.
How long will it take? I'll wait. Nice and neat. Organized, I like it anyway. Everything's probably sterilized. Yeah, I know what that is. That's for the bloody cotton. Well, look at that tooth. It might not have to come out anyway. Wow. I didn't brush this morning. Well,
all right, Mr. Preston.
I'm sorry.
Here, I'll grab a little more. Let me get that for you. How you feeling, Mr. Preston?
Fine.
Good.
I lied. I'm worried.
Now, Mr. Preston, it's nothing to worry about. I'm going to be as gentle as possible.
You can't be too gentle.
Okay. Let's have a look. Open your mouth, please. And the teeth.
Oh. I probably should tell you, I'm a gagger.
Uh-huh. Well, it's a good thing we're taking care of this now. Tell me, has this been giving you any trouble?
I don't know.
I'm not surprised. Tell me, is your wife here with you?
No, she's out looking for a job.
Then we'd better call and get you a cab.
Why do I have to be driven?
Because you're really not going to be in any position to drive home.
I'm not?
Mr. Preston, we're talking about an impacted wisdom tooth. It's not a simple extraction.
Isn't it?
No, they have to be cut out section by section.
Section by section?
Yes, then I have to probe for the roots.
Of my teeth?
Uh-huh. And then we have to put in a few stitches.
How many?
2 or 3.
That many?
Maybe only.
Oh, boy. I hope so.
So you can see it's a bit of an operation. And since your wife isn't home, we'll call a cab for you.
You okay? Call a cab. What's that? What are you going to do with that?
I'm going to give you a combination of an intravenous anesthetic and a gas. Have you ever had gas?
Only what? Sometimes when I eat mashed turnips.
Well, what we're going to give you is a gas called nitrous oxide.
That's laughing gas, isn't it?
Well, sometimes it's called crying gas, too. But everybody reacts differently. Some people laugh, some cry, most do nothing. But whatever happens, it's really nothing to be concerned about because it won't last.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just breathe naturally. Wait till I place the mask.
Oh, my face?
Yes.
Okay. Good idea.
Now, nice, easy. That's it, just relax.
You want to see some nice pictures?
Sandy Duncan, the face that never stops.
Starting 1 week from Sunday on CBS.
Jenny! Jenny! Not home. What is the crying the dentist was talking about? It must be. Maybe I'm cracking up. Well, why not? My wife's mad at me. I have my teeth pulled. And I didn't get to make my magazine right. Well, this is crazy. Nobody cries over a magazine rack. Oh, I haven't cried like this since Lucas graduated from nursery school. Oh, but that was a happy cry. This is sad cry. Oh, no.
Hi.
Hi.
Came to bar or something.
Take it.
Imagine that, Connie. Got the mayonnaise for you. Didn't get any for us. Is that a laugh? What's the matter with you? You're crying.
Yes.
Is it anything to do with the little discussion that you and Jenny had this morning?
Well, it was Jenny and the dentist.
Jenny and the dentist? I knew about Jenny and the gardener, but I didn't know. Joe, you've been to the dentist, right?
Yeah, and he gave me laughing gas.
Why aren't you laughing?
I don't know.
That's suede. I don't want any of it.
Oh. It makes some people cry. Why am I crying?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're unhappy.
I am?
You certainly seem it. Oh, come on. Pull yourself together, right?
I'm okay.
Can you get back from the appointment yet?
No.
That's it, isn't it? That's why you're crying, right? Because your wife's got a job.
Well, wouldn't you cry if your wife was working?
My wife is working.
Oh, why aren't you crying?
I'm elated. I want everyone in my family to work. You know what you've got to do? Huh? Lie right down.
Okay.
Come on, stretch out. Really, that's just silly. Now lie down.
Yeah.
Okay? Now just relax. It'll all wear off and you'll feel better, and I'll be right here if you need me.
Look, I think I'll just take a little nap.
All right. Hey, I'll get the mayonnaise. I'm going to make myself a nice lettuce and tomato sandwich on the Kaiser. I'm going to make you one.
No, thanks.
Okay.
I'll see you, thanks. Oh, what's that? Oh, Danny, you can't see me like this.
Well, did it get home? Mommy? Is that you, Mommy? Daddy? Are you all right?
Hi, sweetheart, what you know?
Brenda and I were off in planes. Miss Phillips dropped me off.
Oh?
You want to know what happened today?
Sure, sweetie.
Brenda, Susie, and I were all playing at Brenda's house. And Brenda's cat got run over by a car. He's going to be okay, Daddy.
Oh, good.
Are you all right, Daddy? Are you crying?
No.
You are crying, aren't you, Daddy?
Yes.
What's the matter, Daddy?
Well, it's nothing really. It's not serious. I went to the dentist and he gave me an anesthetic that makes your daddy cry.
You always told me that crying was nothing to be ashamed of.
Well, it is not. It's just sometimes daddy doesn't want you to see it.
I thought that was only when you were naked.
I didn't say that.
And how come you're always running and hiding?
Don't you have some homework, sweetheart?
Don't you want me to stay here with you?
No, you run do your homework.
Okay, Daddy. If you need me, I'll be in my room.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Bye.
Where do you want it, Jenny? In the fridge? No, on. Hi, Dick.
I got it.
Jenny? Yes? Is there anything wrong with Dick? No. What? Well, he's lying on the couch in there crying. Dick? Yep. Connie, will you take it? Sure. Come on, Chrissy. I'll go. Give a holler. If you need me, okay? Come on, Chrissy. Let's go to my house and have a nice banana. Isn't your daddy funny when he makes all those cute noises? Dick, what's the matter?
Oh, Jenny, you're back.
Oh, of course I'm back. You knew I was coming back.
Yeah, of course. Jenny?
Honey, why are you crying?
Well, why do you think?
Well, I don't know. Well, it couldn't have been about our little argument this morning. We've had worse ones than that.
I went to the dentist today.
Oh, Dick, you had your wisdom tooth out.
Yeah, section by section. If you're happy, I did it for you.
Oh, darling, thank you. I appreciate that. Aw. Does it hurt?
No.
Did the dentist give you that gas?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did he say how long the crying would last?
No, he didn't know. He just said it'll wear off.
Oh, poor. Oh, and you didn't get to build your magazine.
No. Did you get the job?
No, I didn't.
You didn't get the job? Sorry.
Well, the girl who has it isn't ready to leave yet.
She isn't? Well, I'm sorry, honey.
She's pregnant, and she won't be leaving for 2 or 3 months.
She won't.
And then I can have the job.
Then you get the job. I want you to have the right to work if you want to work. I don't mind.
Dick.
It's just...
Dick, I think we should discuss this another time when I can read your mood more clearly.
Good. Where are you going?
I'm just gonna go pick up Chrissy.
Okay, I'll go with you.
No. I want you to go to your room and don't come down until you finish crying.
What? Do I have to?
Yes, you have to. Now go to your room.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.